Good morning, geeks. It is time to winterize your car. My best advice is to move down to Florida. Okay, Tim, well, that's our show. That's the best advice I can give you, so bye.
Nice
I'm
seeing you.
just,
Have a good day, folks.
yes, right. No, seriously, I used to live in Florida. You generally don't need snow tires, maybe the occasional ice scraper. But yeah, if you move to Florida, forget about winterize. What winterize? Forget about. Anyway, welcome all to this Good Morning Geeks. Tis the week before Thanksgiving. And all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a
That's
Windows
all.
mouse.
Yep.
Anyway, so I do have some tips, tips that you may not even heard of or tried to winterize your car. Um, I used some of these tips before I moved out of the state. I used more of them after I came back into the state of Florida. Today we're having an ice storm, rain and ice. Oh joy. Anyway, I just woke up not too long ago, so I'm having a spot of tea. I'm having tea with my dog Spot. Here, boy, here, boy. Here you go. Okay. Wish I had some more. Anyway, so if anybody's new is out there to this channel, please do stop by and say hello. This channel was created for the community. Started this back in 2010. It's going to be in March. This channel will be 9 years old. Wow. So thank you.
You don't look like
All
you've
all
aged a
two of
bit.
you, thank you who are watching.
You
What's up,
don't.
Tim?
You don't look like you've aged a bit.
No, I haven't. No, man, it's that Botox, man. It does wonders. I
I was
told
gonna
you.
say good. I was gonna pay compliment and say good genes, but yeah, Botox works.
Yes, that's better. Jeans, yes, jeans, yes, jeans. No, it's you know what? I don't smoke. Seldom drink. Exercise when I can. Good conversation. Um, try to keep a good attitude, even when things don't go your way, as they have this year. But it all adds up.
Yep.
Yeah, it all adds up. So I think John Lennon, the great late John Lennon, said it best. He said it best when he says, "Life happens when you start to make plans," or something like that. Then other plans happen. But anyway, all right. So we'll wait till have a few more people jump in. We have Paul Farron. See, Paul has a smart wife. He had an appointment this morning, and his wife said, "Honey, don't go out in the bad weather." Paul, does she have a single sister? Oh, never mind. Just thought I would ask him. Hi, Paul. Hi, Yugi. Posh. Well, we laugh, but if you don't ask, right?
How are you gonna know? Uh, Folks, take a look at the bottom of his coffee mug.
Ah, jeez. Fine. Since Tim had to ask, can you guys read this? Right? Okay. You see that? All right. Can you read that?
It was kind of hard to miss.
Yeah, yeah. Wrap your car in Snuggies. That's close. I'll have a tip for that. Liberty Linux, welcome. How are you? Um,
One kind
yeah,
of
yeah, go ahead.
a PSA here before we start. Steve's very own had a live stream this past Sunday, and he had some people on it, and there's been some activity, some rewatches on it. A few of the folks that may be on the chat here with us today, I just wanted to extend some thanks on behalf of Steve and myself. Steve's just trying to get things up and running. He had a couple of technical niggles, I think, with OBS, but did a fine job. I just wanted to say thank you, and once again, the people that help support Toss's stream, if you could help support their streams, that would be great. And there's a handful or two out there that that are real good. But I just wanted to extend a thank you. Good old Toss even stopped by, and we asked him when he was going to make breakfast for all of us, and then he disappeared. Lo and behold, we asked him
Well,
when we
no,
asked him when breakfast was going to
I
be
made it,
on.
but being Italian, I ate it all.
Oh,
Sorry.
I figured as soon as we asked and you kind of disappeared, it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
well,
off cooking.
yeah,
We're either going to hear the dinner
yeah.
bell pretty soon, or he's off eating it on his own.
Well, it's like that song. I left my breakfast in Portofino. It was
Isn't it? I left my heart in Portofino.
no, that's a different. That's Tony Bennett. I'm thinking of Andrea Bocelli. I found my love in
Oh, okay.
Portofino. Yeah, it's close. It's close. Yeah. So we will have um what was I gonna say? Oh, I have a tentative schedule. Me schedule. Yeah, tomorrow night. I'm gonna unless something happens. We're supposed to have an ice storm, rain, ice. But tomorrow night, don't have a time yet. How to succeed on YouTube. I'm gonna share with you after 8 years. I think it's time to share with you my successes, failures, and so on. Let me just say this: meeting all you friends, no matter what happens, meeting all you friends and making new friends in the community is definitely not a failure. But that being said, I want to do that tomorrow night, somewhere between 8 and 10 local time p.m. How to succeed on YouTube. Maybe Steve, starting off, may want to watch it. I'll share with you what has worked and what has not worked for this channel. Um, I will try to have a schedule for that. I know a lot of you want a regular schedule. That's been one of my failures for this year. But I will try to have a regular schedule for the next 2 weeks or more. So you guys can, I'll be on barring some kind of, last minute thing. That'll take us past Thanksgiving. And happy early Thanksgiving, by the way, just in case I don't see you guys again on the chat. That'll take us past Thanksgiving. Then I'll try to have another set schedule for December, and then I'll make a decision the first of the year what to do here with the channel and the live streams. So just so you guys know, those of you who missed this, you can watch this on the replay. What I did, I jotted down, and there's a lot of tips out there, tips, tricks on winterizing your car. I wrote down 17 tips. There's more, but I don't want to make this a 2-hour show on how to winterize your car. Some of these tips I've used lately. Some of these I never thought of before. Of course, when I live in Florida, how do you winterize your car? Well, just normal tune-up and check-up. That's what I did in Florida. You generally don't get snowstorms in Florida. At least I haven't seen one. Although I do remember one morning waking up early, one morning in January in Florida. My windshield was covered in ice. Really? I'm like, you son of a... There's a family channel. I'm like, really? Well, I had no ice scraper. Who thinks of an ice scraper in freaking Florida? So, back then we used something called cassette tapes to play music. I used a cassette tape shell to scrape the windshield, and it worked,
Credit cards generally work too.
Credit card is a nice tip too. Yes, that's right. Yeah, maybe you can use that to shave some payments off your bill. Haha. Anyway. All right.
That coffee mug is hilarious.
You like this? I'm going to do this all stream. The first tip and the second tip. All right. Welcome all. If somebody joins in late, leave a comment inside the chat, and one of us, me or Tim, will try to get to it. So, hello, Linux 3D. You use Linux in 3D? Wow. Hello, Linux 3D. Welcome. All right, let me get through the tips. And again, just leave a comment in the chat, and we'll try to answer your questions and get to the comments after I'm done here. Did you read? Good one. That's one for digital. Yeah. Careful for the credit cards. It will freeze your account. Bada boom, bada bing. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I wrote down 17 tips, no particular order with these tips. So let's go with number 1. Check the battery. The last thing you want is to take your girlfriend or your wife to the cinema. When you go inside the cinema, the weather's dry. When you leave 2 hours later, there's a snowstorm. You run to the car. You go to turn the key, and the car talks to you. Click, 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 click. Please don't start me. Leave me alone. Now the car won't start. She's looking at you. You're looking at her, and this is you. I forgot to check the car. So check the battery. If the battery is 4 or 5 years old, just replace it. Now, those of you who live in Ohio, Tim lives in Minnesota, cold places, just change the battery. 4 or 5 year old battery, I wouldn't even test it. Just replace it, just to be safe. So check the battery, and also have the battery cables checked. If there's any rust or corrosion on the terminals, even with the new battery, the car will not start. That happened to my son's car. Brand new battery. I pulled out the terminals. They look clean, but on the negative screw terminal, there was a little bit of rust. And that teeny weeny bit of rust would not let the car start. So I sprayed some WD-40, brushed it off, no problem. So again, check the terminals. But once again, if the battery is 4, if I don't care if it says a 7-year battery, 10-year battery, baloney. The battery is 4 or 5 years old. Just replace it, my opinion.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
In Minnesota, where the temperatures are, I know it gets cold in your neck of the woods, but Minnesota generally, a car battery, where you are in the state can make a big difference. But 3 to 5 years for a car battery.
Yeah. Look, I had a 7-year battery. It lasted me 4 years. So I don't. Yeah, just 4 or 5 years old, get a new charge. All right, number 2, check the fluids, especially the antifreeze. But just have all the fluids checked. You don't want something leaking and not know it. So check all the fluids. And really, every time you get the oil change, have them check all the fluids at the time of the oil change so you'll know. All right, number 3, consider snow tires. Remember to remove the snow tires in the spring. Snow tires, my cousin had a pair once. He had a rear-wheel drive truck. He went to the pool in the wintertime, to the community center, built in a pool. When he went, it was dry. When he came out, snowstorm. He says, well, now's a good time to test the tires. He was coming up this long hill that we have. Remember, he had the snow tires in the back. 25,000 mile rated soft rubber snow tires. He told me as he was coming up the hill, all these trucks, 4-wheel drive, slipping and sliding like they were doing some kind of, barn dance. His truck, straight as an arrow, because he had the correct tires. Not a 4-wheel drive. Now, if you have a snow tires and 4-wheel drive, you're set. But if you have crappy tires and you think you'll be fine with 4-wheel drive with crappy tires, forget about it. So, if you don't have snow tires, make sure you have good tires with a traction rating of A. A lot of the tires on the side, they'll have a rating for traction, temperature, something else I can't remember. But I always look for a traction rating of A. If you buy snow tires, remove them in the spring because, again, the soft rubber will wear out sooner. All right, number 4, oil change. I don't use regular oils anymore. I use only synthetic oils, either full synthetic blend. If your car sits outside in the winter, trust me, you change the oil with full synthetic, have a good battery, your car will start up quicker and it'll warm up sooner as long as you have synthetic oil. So yeah, I would forget about using regular oils unless for some reason your car is recommended to use only normal oils. Most newer cars you can use synthetic oils, not a problem. But check in the manual. But I do not use regular oils anymore.
One caution with synthetic oils: if your car has a leak, if you're used to going out in the garage in the morning and backing out and having a small spot on the garage floor, or if you're parked on the street, you notice that you are losing oil, or by checking it, you are losing oil. Synthetic oil, you can use it in just about any car. If you do have any leaks, those leaks may become a little bit more prevalent, and you may have to check your oil a little bit more often. Synthetic oil will find leaks a lot easier than conventional oil.
Yeah, that's true. I guess a small price to pay to, make your
Yes.
car start smarter, start faster in the winter. But yeah, again, check the manual, check with your mechanic, and go from there. But generally speaking, you cannot go wrong. And the one nice thing about synthetic oils, if you use a full synthetic, there's synthetic oils now that can last a whole year, 20,000 miles. I don't know about that. But generally speaking, take what they say, cut it in half. So if Mobil 1 year, and Mobil 1's a good oil, by the way. I'm not being sponsored by Mobil 1. But no, if Mobil 1 is a good oil, if it says change it once a year, change every 6 months and be safe. If it says 20,000 miles, change it 10,000 miles. Generally speaking. Now, if you're doing off-roading in the desert all the time, change it more often. But yeah, full synthetic oils, even synthetic blends are better than regular oil, in my opinion. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Number 4 was synthetic oils. Number 5, check your belts and hoses. Yeah, again, every time you have the oil change, do a safety check on the car. Fluid check, hoses, check for leaks. I do that pretty much every 6 months or try to. So belts and hoses.
A good way to tell if your belts and hoses are in good shape or if they're compromised. Any extremely soft spots in a radiator hose, if you just squeeze it, going up and down between the radiator and the inlet on the engine, if you have any really soft spots, might be time to replace it. If you have any bulges, if you have spots on the hose where it looks like the diameter of the hose increases to a dramatic effect and only lasts for a short period, that can be another problem. So far as belts, most cars nowadays have serpentine belts, where they have just one belt, maybe two, that run every accessory underneath of the hood. Take a look at the belt, kind of give it a twist,
Yeah.
and look at the ribs on the belt. Don't look at the outside of the belt, look at the ribs. And if you have any cracks running perpendicular to the length of the belt, that'd be the time to think about replacing the belt.
Yeah, I go to a family-owned, locally owned service station here. They used to sell gas, no more gas, strictly services. And, it's within walking distance from my house, so it's great. But I go there. I trust them. They generally they charge fair prices, but I go there, and I trust them completely. Sometimes they'll say we cannot do that kind of work. Sometimes they'll say yes. But if you can find a locally family-owned service station, that might be your best bet. All right. Hello, Kenny. Welcome. All right. Let's see here. If you have an all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive system, have that checked. That has its own separate oil, I do believe, or some kind of axle oil or something, if I am not mistaken. So have that checked. Again, if there's leaks, like Tim said, have that checked. Check your brake pads. The last thing you want to do is driving, you hit a patch of ice, snow, you hit the brakes, and the anti-lock brakes, you feel it, but the car ain't stopping. See, if the car won't start, that's not the problem. The real problem is if the car won't stop. So check the brake pads. Again, every 6 months, probably not a bad idea. All right. If you have a garage or a carport or a car cover, use them. If your garage is full of junk, clean out the garage. If you have a heated garage, that's even better. So if you have a garage, use it. And you could also use the garage to wash off the salt, after driving in the storm, when they spray the trucks, the salt and everything. So if you have a garage, use it, Windshield. I use, when I can't, cardboard. If my car sits outside all day, I use cardboard to cover the windshield, so the ice and snow won't stick to the windshield. Now, I've also in the past sprayed a little bit of spray oil on the windshield, not a lot. The problem is it causes a smear. That works too, but really, I wouldn't even do that. I would just use cardboard on the windshield. Just have the wipers hold the board, and if your car sits outside overnight, that'll work. The wiper blades, use socks to keep your wiper blades nice and toasty. I like to use Nike socks to tick off all my Republican friends. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Uh,
Anyway,
for the
use
wind
old socks. Yeah.
for the windshield and for ice buildup and snow. In Minnesota, one of the things is because our temperatures get so low,
Yeah.
is during the day, the temperature will usually come up a little bit when it snows. But we're driving around in a hot car, warm car.
Yeah.
We come in and we park, and if we don't park inside of a garage, we shut the car off. The car cools down, but it's still snowing, and the snow is falling on a warm windshield. After everything cools down, of course, what do you get? Freezes. One of the very, very economical pieces that I found is on the windshield, apply Rain-X. You can get it at just about any auto parts store. I think Walmart even carries it. And I think it's about $3 or $4 for a bottle of it. And that's generally enough to do your windshield, the side windows, and the rear window.
They make a spray
car.
cleaner too, Rain-X, if I am not
Yep.
mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if you apply Rain-X, make sure you follow the directions. It's about a 10-minute process, and it can solve a big pain in the butt when you go to scrape the windows in the morning if you have to park out of doors.
All right. Paul, you made me laugh. I love all my friends, by the way. I don't care who you voted for. If you're my friend, you're my friend for life. So we'll just leave it at that. But I know what you mean, Paul. Anyway, moving along. Let's see here. Rain-X is good stuff. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, don't forget, you can try anti-fog spray inside the car, inside the glass. My son bought that. It seems to work. I should buy it for my car. I have a smart kid. I wonder where he gets his brains at. Anyway.
Must come from his mother's side.
Yes. Yes, dear, even though we're not together. Okay. Anyway, I'll make her happy. It's all you, dear. Anyway, moving along. Shh. I need to cut this out later. I'm just kidding. I just woke up like an hour. I'm still tired. I'm having my cold tea. Where were we here? All right, anti-fog spray. Tim, it's all your fault.
Sorry.
Anti-fog spray inside the glass. Okay. If the car sits outside, use a good car wax. I like the once-a-year commercial. What's it? Once a year new finish car polish. Yeah, I use that normally. Make sure the car is washed off clean, super clean. You don't want to wax on and grind in the salt and dirt as you're waxing, and have nice little swirl, not squirrel. Or you could use a squirrel to wipe off the wet out. Yeah, don't leave any swirls in the wax. So use a good coat of wax. Obviously, don't wax the car in the sun. But a good coat of wax. One good coat should last you through through next spring or summer. But use like new finish or something similar. There's one in the blue bottle that's somewhat expensive. That really I can't think of it. Is it Zymol?
Yes.
Okay, that's good too. Or ask the local body shop, car body shop, see what they use. Okay. I think I mentioned this before. If you have a garage, you drive through a storm, hopefully not, you come home, there's salt, wash it off. As far as the body of the car, Tim, to get the grime off, I use hot water. I'll take a big bucket of warm or hot water, a couple sponges, gently,
Yep.
then I'll grab a second bucket of clean water, just make sure that the car warms up. You don't want to throw hot water on the glass, it'll crack. But no soap, just hot water. Clean hot water works, just to rinse it off.
Here in Minnesota, a lot of us, because of in Minnesota, I think the weather cycle is really close to what you have in Ohio, but we have a little bit cooler temperatures here. So a lot of people are hesitant in using water outside during the really cold times. So they'll run through the car wash.
Yeah.
Most of the car washes here in Minnesota not just have the wash apparatus, but when you get to the end of the wash bay, they actually have a dryer to help dry the car off.
Makes sense.
In Minnesota, the biggest problem is if people will get their car washed, really nice sunny day, like 2 days ago, really, really beautiful sunny day, but the temperature was only, I think it maybe hit 20 degrees.
Nah, that's cold.
So people that would go through the car wash, again, the car cycles, gets warm, gets cool.
Yeah.
They go through the car wash, then they go home, park the vehicle overnight. They get up in the morning, their doors are stuck closed because you get a little bit of water in between the door jams, the body lines, and then they can't get the door open. Which I do have a trick for that.
Okay. Paul says, how many squirrels do you need? To have plenty here that like to eat the chicken feed. Is it on a pole? The feed? Have you seen those YouTube videos where they put seed, like bird seed, on a pole hanging, and then they grease the pole like with Vaseline, so the squirrel jumps on the pole and he's sliding down like a fireman. He can't get to the. It is so funny. Anyway, turtle wax is turtle. I haven't used turtle wax in a while. I guess turtle wax is okay. I don't know what the rating of that is, Robert. All I know is New Finish, Zymol. A lot of other synthetic waxes are pretty good. Somebody mentioned carnauba wax years ago. I don't know if that's as good, but just have a good coat of wax on it. Okay. Let's see. All right. Car sits outside, use wax. Immediately wash off the road salt. The key lock. You use WD-40 or any kind of spray oil inside the key lock to prevent freezing. I think somebody mentioned hand sanitizer on the key, maybe. Spray that inside the key locks to prevent freezing. To prevent your door from freezing. It happened to me. Thanks, Buick. But a few years ago, I got a box of pizza for my son for us to eat, and I couldn't get the door open. It froze. The car sat outside all day. Went open, and I was locked in. Both doors. I'm like, what the? I rolled down. I gave the pizza to my son. I drove around so the car warmed up to open the door. So spray, yeah, really. So either spray silicone spray on the door molding or use Pam, not the girl, the cooking spray. Actually,
that was my trick for the door.
Yeah,
door
yeah.
moldings.
Use a cooking spray on the door. Don't use regular WD-40. That can disintegrate the molding, I believe.
Yep.
Unless they make a silicone. I think they do. But just make sure it's a silicone spray for their door molding. Just spray it on there. Don't be shy. Let it stick. Let the oil absorb rather to the rubber, and I haven't had a problem since then. You can use also. Let's see. We're down to number 16 here. Tips: use windshield spray deicer. If you forgot to put cardboard outside on the windshield or whatever, spray some deicer. Let it sit. Make sure you have a good scraper. I like the hand scrapers that's shaped like a glove. You put your hand in and then just so your hand stays a little warm. So use spray deicer. The side mirrors. Try some baggies, plastic bags. Again, if your car sits outside, on the side mirrors to keep ice from sticking. How many of us have, went shopping at a mall or out 3-4 hours, get back to the car, it's cold, you get in and you did everything right. You had the socks on the wiper blades, you have the cardboard plastic on the windshield, you change the oil, the car starts removing, you need to pass, oh, I forgot the side mirrors, there's ice on the side mirrors. Yes, some cars have heated side mirrors, but that can take a while. So try putting plastic bags on the side mirrors, then of course take them off when you're ready to get rolling. Tires, I forgot to mention, if you're keeping your tires, check the tire pressure. Check the tire pressure every week if you can. The tire pressure can vary depending on the temperature, if I am not mistaken. Also, make sure that the tires on the valve, you have those covers, those little cover screw-on caps. They keep dirt from going in, which can damage the valve, and also hopefully keep air from leaving if you have a leak coming out of the valve. But make sure you have nice, tight. I prefer the metal ones versus plastic, and those are fairly inexpensive. I got 17 tips here. Another thing that comes to my mind, I have a not so much a kit like an emergency kit, but I have a jumper box, a Stanley jumper box. I think I put that below in the show links, show notes, by the way. But I have a Stanley jumper box. It is a combination jumper box, flashlight, USB charger, air compressor. Yeah, that's come in handy several times to jumpstart the car, basically something like that. Just plug it in the wall, let it charge. There's like 3 lights on it, red, yellow, green. Green means full charge, and I check that once a month. Even if I don't use it. Um, so I keep that in the back. I have a can of Fix-A-Flat in case I get a flat tire as you're driving. I'm not going to change a tire in the snowstorm. You can call AAA, but how long that'll be? Again, if it's a blown tire or something bad, that Fix-A-Flat, the can will not work. But if it's like a pinhole leak and the tire is flat, you can use that to give you, I think, about 25 pounds of pressure or so with the Fix-A-Flat can. And that'll get you on the road, at least get you home or to a service station. So that's my emergency kit is, and I try to keep a blanket or a jacket in the car too, but jump box, I use Stanley, blanket or some kind of a heavy jacket just in case. Of course, a fully charged cell phone would help. A can of Fix-A-Flat, windshield spray de-icer. That's what I use. Paul says you have a tip. Feel free to share it in the chat, Paul. Yeah.
Here in the further north, in Minnesota, the big thing that they push every fall and heading into the winter, excuse me, is having the emergency kit. Having the car, having your vehicle in as best a running order as you possibly can is a really good idea.
Yeah.
Thing is that here, because of the variance in roads, and Minnesota surprisingly has a lot of back roads that are snow covered a majority of the time. They're some of the last roads that the plows will hit if we get a large enough storm, and some of them are dirt roads too, so they automatically have ruts in them even before the snow gets to them. And big concern here is not just having a good roadworthy winterized car, but even having a good roadworthy winterized car doesn't mean that you cannot find yourself in a bad position where you get pulled off of the road because of a snow rut and you get stuck. So having the emergency kit is really, really key. Make sure you dress warm when you go outside too. I'm one of the guys that probably doesn't do that as well as I should, but dress well when you go out in bad weather, because you don't know what's going to happen. Even if your car starts well and it drives well, you don't know if a mechanical gremlin is going to show up when you're on the way to grandma's house, so to say. Make sure you're prepared for that.
Right. Paul has a tip. Back up your files. Yes, I forgot to mention that on this tip. Back up your car files. That's right. My Russian friend says, I don't use car. No car problems, comrade. In Russia, we use horse and buggy.
Paul
don't have a car, there's no car. I totally agree. So if you can't move to Florida, don't buy a car.
Paul has a good point there. Pay extra attention to other drivers and slow down. Carmine, I don't know if this is the case in Ohio, but it snowed last Thursday here in Minnesota for the first time.
Okay.
And it was kind of one of those weird first snows where it wasn't a huge amount. It wasn't like inch upon inch upon inch. I think we only got, at the airport in Minneapolis, I think we got like an inch, maybe, something like that. And it's like everybody loses their mind. They forgot what this white substance is that falls out of the sky when the temperature gets below 32 degrees, and they lose their mind. One of the things that you can do is keep an eye on the weather and understand when the weather changes are coming and plan accordingly. Because even if you have the nicest of four-wheel drive vehicles and you get out on the road and you're in a hurry, you might be able to get through the garbage, the crud and the snow and everything else quicker, but you're not going to be able to stop any faster.
Right.
And no matter what shape your tires are in, no matter how good of a braking system you have, no matter how advanced of a vehicle you have, once you get moving, stopping, that's physics. Your car is not going to argue with the law of physics.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. Look, I often say, never underestimate the power of stupidity.
Yep.
And I've always drive like everybody else who drives is an idiot. A to Z, even police, cars, fire. Now, that's not true. That's not true. But how do you know which is nuts and which is not nuts? Who is nuts? So I drive somewhat a little slower. defensive driving, and it's worked out pretty good for me. So again, when you're not sure, slow down. If you're really not sure and you don't have to drive, don't drive. Just stay home. There's always to look. If it's a caged death match between you and Mother Nature, I'm going to vote on the lady.
Yeah, she's going to win.
She's going to win, 100%. So
we have a couple people from Minnesota here. Interceptor. I think I knew Interceptor was from Minnesota. I can't remember exactly where he's from. Jason K. I've never seen Jason K. in the chat here with you before.
Thief River Falls.
That is, the state of Minnesota. And on the west side we have South Dakota and North Dakota.
Yeah.
Thief River Falls is bordered with North Dakota. And Jason, forgive me if I'm wrong, but you're within an hour to an hour and a half from the Canadian border on a good day, correct?
That's why he wrote home of the Arctic cat.
Snowmobiles.
Okay. Nice. Sounds like fun, though. Nah, it's too cold. Nah, I'll just go to Florida, yeah. I'll take my snowmobile to Florida.
That's one thing. Living in Minnesota, he's close. He's an hour and a half from the Canadian border.
Nice.
Living in Minnesota my entire existence, I've been on a snowmobile once, and they scare the crap out of me. They just scare me to no end. I've had fast motorcycles. I've had fast cars.
Yeah.
I love speed. I love power. But there's just something with snowmobiles that just scare the crap out of me.
I don't think I've ever been on a snowmobile, have I? Not that I recall. They seem like fun.
Me, it's kind of the whole thing where you get moving fast on snow. You can't slow down real fast. And some of these snowmobiles will do well over. They'll do well
That's
over.
true. You're sliding, yeah.
They'll do well over 100 miles an hour. Some of these sleds. That's scary.
Built-in parachute. I don't know.
I just picture myself screaming across the lake, doing 100 miles an hour.
Tim hits a snowbank. Toss.
And there's a moose. Yeah. How do you stop? And just like you said, you argue with Mother Nature. Mother Nature's gonna win.
I can see Tim getting moosed.
Oh, the moose. Idiot with snowmobile will always lose against the moose.
The moose goes moo. I'm actually watching Weather Channel now. It's anyway, we have an advisory here in Ohio, so tomorrow's going to warm up to 39. Heat wave. All right, Jason, thank you for stopping by. He says he has to run. Very good.
Thank you. It was nice seeing you. One of the things here in Minnesota too, and I think it's prevalent just about anywhere where you get temperatures in that 32 and below range.
Yeah.
Black ice, specifically at intersections with stoplights. Most of the accidents, there is something on the news here. I think it was last year, possibly the year before. They were talking about impacts, car crashes, and a majority of these crashes. Some of them are just people driving too fast, not paying attention, doing things of that nature. But a majority of the crashes are people coming up to an intersection with a stoplight. Traffic is stopped, but there is this ugly thing called black ice. And, the way that the Minnesota State Patrol classifies a crash is anything that immobilizes one or both vehicles. And people come up to an intersection and they're just, again, they're maybe in too big of a hurry. Maybe they're not paying quite close enough attention to their surroundings. And once you hit that stuff, you're done. Anti-lock brakes aren't going to help you. There are some driving tricks trying to pump the brakes to be able to slow down a little bit quicker. But if you hit it at the right speed, you're in for a ride, and you have very little to do with where you're
unless you have to be out on the roads. Don't stay home, because you cannot see that ice that's covered by snow. So what you have is maybe snow, then ice, then snow. Oh goody. Let's go car skiing, No, but seriously, if you don't have to be out in that kind of weather, don't. If you have to, slow down. So now here it's tough because we got the hills and valleys. I try to avoid as many hills and valleys as I can. But generally speaking, if the weather's really bad, stay home. That's the only way to be sure. Um, and it doesn't matter when you have that kind of ice buildup. Again, like you said, a truck, four-wheel drive, you're on a sheet of ice, like an ice rink. And we don't. Some of us, and I've been caught on ice before, but luck I was going slow enough to where I just take my foot off the brake and just try and recover. Hydroplaning on the rain, that's happened to me twice. That's freaking scary. There's no warning. Just like Black Guy, there's no warning.
Yep.
I learned my lesson with the hydroplaning. Slow down,
Mm-hmm.
and you can avoid the hydroplaning. Remember in Florida years ago, in the summer, we get these torrential summertime rainstorms between 4 and 7 sometimes. I mean, bam! There were like, watch the news. The state patrol was responding to 300 wrecks in like 3 hours. So the frustrated officer comes on TV. People, look, just because the speed limit says 55 miles per hour, that doesn't mean all the time. I'll never forget that. So if you're not sure, slow down. Hi, Emily. Are you new to the channel? Welcome to the chat. She says, let me go back here. Could be safe for all inclement weather. You live in Georgia, yes. It's been so rainy before.
That's one of the
sneeze. 3 feet in front of you, yes. Fog in Florida, Emily, yes.
That's
Absolutely.
one of the things that's got to be really, really tough on some of these states that during the winter months, being in Ohio, Minnesota, Iowa, and stuff like that, the northern states, you're this used to the snow. You know it's going to happen sooner or later. But some of these states that you get into Missouri, maybe the southern part of Illinois, maybe southern Ohio, they don't get as much of the snow and the ice. But if the jet stream this happens to work the right way, and then they get it, I've been in Missouri before where they've gotten a quarter to a half inch of snow with a little bit of moisture with it, so it's it's a little bit slick.
Yeah.
And it grinds the entire metropolitan area to a halt. In Minnesota, we're putting on our clothes, getting ready to go to work. It's nothing to us. But some of those areas where you don't know what you're going to get, and it could switch at any time. Man, that would be nerve-wracking.
I was just when I lived in Florida, Emily was talking about can't see like a few feet in front of you. When I lived in Florida, sometimes I would have relatives. I lived in Orlando. They would fly into Tampa, St. Pete, about a couple hours away. So I'm getting on I-4, and you hit a patch of fog. This car is passing me up. I slow down because, you literally cannot see as far as you need to see. So imagine going, the speed limit is 65, but there's people pushing 80. Imagine going 80, you can't see, like she says, 3 feet or 6 feet in front of you. All of a sudden, semi-stuck. No chance.
Yep.
Again, when you're not sure, slow down or don't go.
It's for you.
Yes, let's see who's calling. Oh, God, these telemarketers.
Is that your sponsor?
Yes. It's a person named Wilton CT. That must be Connecticut. I've been getting a lot of calls lately from everywhere. I don't think that do not call list works, does it? See, one of these days, they're going to hit me the wrong way. I'm going to answer the phone. I'm going to say, hello? And it's a marketer. I'm going to find you. I want to bleepity bleep. But I can't do that. Anyway, yes, Emily. Everybody, please say hello to Emily. I think she's new on the chat here. So, Emily, welcome. Clive, 51 degrees. Where are you, Clive? That's it. That's a rub it in.
Mm-hmm. Johan B has a good point.
Yeah.
Watching the weather, here at least, you can get close like 24 hours out.
Yeah.
But after that, it's kind of a crapshoot. It really is.
Yeah.
But it's funny. You can watch one weather forecast like the morning news. I've had that on today. I can watch that, and if I happen to be watching, it doesn't have to be two different weathermen. If I
Yeah.
watch the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
newscast at the noon
Yeah.
hour
Yeah.
and watch the weather forecast, it could be entirely changed.
I just thought of an old joke. Places where you have lots of air pollution, like California. The weather forecast for today will be light to increasing pollution with a chance of occasional air. That's one of my favorites. Emily says you're not new. You've been here before. Ah, okay. Well, let's pretend.
Let's
Hi,
pretend.
Emily. Thank you.
I've never seen Emily, so as far as I'm concerned, she's new. Everybody
She
say
has.
hello.
Maybe it's been a while. I can't remember. I try to keep track of, well, how to keep track of 10,000 people who follow you. But anyway, welcome. Paul likes my joke. Yes. Well, last week there was a snowstorm. There was a freak accident. Two freaks had an accident. But boom, boom. These are old jokes.
Wow.
Oh God. What was I going to say? I lost my. Oh, if you are driving in Georgia or wherever you live, and you get caught, snowstorm, rain, fog, pull over. Just and stay in the car. There's another thing. I've seen video, not the dash cams, highway cams, like on poles on the highway, multi-car pileups, people just slanting on the ice or snow, and people getting out of their cars. You want some now, unless you feel like it's going to get worse or a car's on fire, then you need to exit the car. But you're better off staying in your car as a shield. Let the car take the hit and not you. But sometimes that's not avoidable. But generally speaking, stay in your car unless you have to get out.
If you don't see smoke, if you
Yeah.
don't smell fuel,
Right.
you're probably safe to stay in the vehicle.
You're
And
right.
that's a better bet.
And if you have to get out, like if you're, let's say, speculation, you're in a multi-car pile up, not your fault, and just semis are just barreling down that might crush you. If you need to get out, get far away as possible. Just go. But generally speaking, stay in your car. Yeah.
So Linux 3D says 22 Celsius. So he's
That's
up
warm.
that's up in the 70s.
Yeah, that's pretty warm. Where are you, Linux 3D? See, all these people are rubbing it in today, man. I thought we were friends. Just kidding.
We are at 32 degrees where I am, just south of the
Yeah,
Minneapolis.
right now we're at Ohio. I'm close to Pittsburgh. We are 30 degrees. Winter advisory until 7 p.m. So I will probably stay home today. Yeah.
Have you gotten your grocery shopping? Do you have snacks? Do you got the water? Do you have toilet paper? Do you have your
Went last night. I got my tea.
good for you?
I forgot to buy cannolis. Darn it, Tim! You just reminded me. Italians gotta have their cannoli. No, I didn't buy cannolis. I bought some other snacks.
Good.
I bought strawberry licorice actually and some other stuff here. It's in the bag. I keep it here downstairs. So yeah, be prepared. Buy your groceries before. That's another tip. Not so much a car tip, but a general tip. Yeah. I think. Are there any more tips that we missed? Anybody in the chat? Emily, you
Wintertime
live in
tips?
Georgia. What do Georgians do? Probably same thing we do here. I can't believe that idiot speeding that. No, just screaming and complaining, right? Anyway, most people in the South have no idea how to drive on a nice road. Kenny, you make a good point. Yeah, they're
One
not.
of the-
They've never done it. Yeah.
One of the jokes here in Minnesota, as far as winter tips, is don't eat the yellow snow. So
Yes. Yeah, because the snow has been sunbaked, hence the yellow tint. Oh, never mind. It's a joke. Johan, California's having its troubles. Yeah.
yes,
It rarely snows yeah, I guess you're far south enough where it would not snow that much. Yeah.
but see, that's one of those areas, like I was saying, that they're not used to it, and it's not just the
Yeah.
the people, the drivers and whatnot. Some of those states just don't have the infrastructure. They don't have, a fleet of snowplows. They don't have what someplace like Minnesota or Ohio would have.
Yeah.
infrastructurally to
Yeah,
be able to
yeah,
take care of
yeah,
weather like that.
yeah. One thing I do sometimes, like I live at the bottom of a hill, so sometimes if I have to go somewhere, I'll wait. I'll wait for a snowplow or snow truck with the salt as he salts up the hill, and then I'll follow him so my
Yep.
tires get traction if I have to. Now that can be a 5 minute wait, it can be a 2 hour wait, I know. But if I have to go somewhere, then I'll follow the truck.
Are snow chains illegal in most of the U.S.?
I think they're legal in some states, such as studded tires, but you have to take them off or change them in the spring or so. I don't know what the law is here in Ohio, but I believe you can use those, but only certain times during the, I think. I don't know the laws,
I think
but
in
yeah.
Minnesota you can't have them on an interstate
Okay.
or a state highway. And I
Uh,
think you're able to use them on like county roads and I think dirt roads.
it could
But
be, yeah.
I can't remember what the law is.
I mean, I think the ice trucks use them because I guess they have to. Adam says, yeah, Atlanta traffic is nuts. Black ice, people still go 70. Again, never underestimate the power of stupidity. Yeah. So again, yeah, unless you have to be on the road, stay home. Yeah, but I did my grocery shopping. Luckily, Kroger's is within walking distance, so I go there, get what I need. Um, we always get the wrong type of snow and place grinds to a halt. The wrong type of snow? Interesting. What is the good type of snow? The good type of snow is the one that instantly melts, right? That is good snow.
I think Clive might be talking about it's kind of on the edge of rain and snow and it always has that ice factor
Slush.
to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that stuff is the worst.
Emily, what kind of car do you drive? Is it a all-wheel drive or just a normal? Just kind of curious. I drive a front-wheel drive with traction control. Traction control here where I live is kind of, I shut that off, and it's not working now. I think one of the sensors on the tires, it kicks on, and I just shut that off. But here with the hills, yeah, you're better off with all-wheel drive with the right tires. Remember, you need the right tires for all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive to work properly.
Kenny, this brought up diesel-powered vehicles. They're
Yeah.
harder to start in the cold weather, and they have block heaters.
Ah.
From a diesel perspective, one of the key factors in northern states, here in Minnesota, they start changing the diesel blend at the pumps as soon as the weather starts to get colder, and they put the anti-gel additive into the fuel. But one of the commonalities is people with diesel trucks in Minnesota will drive. Say they have a work truck and they drive down into Iowa or Missouri or something and do work, and then they come back up into Minnesota and they go from, say, overnight temperatures of 30, 35 degrees to overnight temperatures of 10 degrees, but they still have fuel in their tank from the trip. Always good if you have a diesel vehicle, have at least a bottle of the fuel additive, the anti-gelling additive with you in the vehicle. That way, if you are out on the road and you put diesel fuel in an area not that you live in that hasn't had the additive, you can always throw some extra additive in.
Okay. Emily says she drives a regular car called a Hyundai. She's not so sure what drive it is. Front wheel, probably. Well, where you live, you don't get snowstorms, so you're probably okay with what you have. Although, all-wheel drive and front-wheel drives do help in the rain too. But yeah, here there's a lot of four-wheel drives or all-wheel drives because of Ohio and the roads. But then again, if you don't have the right tires, that's not going to help you much from what I've seen. But here it's not so bad trying to get up the hill. When you have to go downhill, if I drive extra slow, that's when I wish I had a parachute. Just stop the car. But I guess if you're sliding slow, the parachute won't really. I need like reverse thrusters.
Yep.
That's what I need. Portugal, snow in Portugal? I don't know. Do they get snow in Portugal? No, no. Hello, Horace. How are you? Uh, um, we've been lucky here the last couple of years. Not too really too bad snowstorms. Not too many of them, from what I've seen. But see, because of my house on the corner, I live on the corner spot here. So when the snowplow comes down the hill, they just shove the snow right. They plow right into my, driveway. So, um, now some cars, some newer cars, you may want to look. They also have some kind of uh, technology, safety technology that might help you in bad weather. If you're looking for that, you may want to ask the dealership about that. I just saw commercials for Subarus, which are pretty good cars. Some kind of sensors where if you're driving and not paying attention, if there's an obstacle, the car will stop automatically. Automatic braking, not anti-braking, but oh, Emily, I'm in Ohio. I'm actually close to Pittsburgh. I'm on the Ohio, well, not on the Ohio River, right by the Ohio River. I'm about 30 minutes away from Pittsburgh, here in Ohio. So yeah, the weather can get nasty, like today. So
Here in Minnesota, the weather, because we're further north, we don't deal with that weird variable that I believe you get, where
mhm,
you kind of get the rain and then the snow and then the rain and the snow, where it alternates back and forth.
yeah, mhm,
We just, when it snows, it snows. And we've had some significant snowstorms. Even last spring, it was a really out of character snowstorm.
mhm,
In, I think it was April. It was about the second weekend of April, and we got, I think the Minneapolis airport, got somewhere in the neighborhood of like 14 inches. And I mean, that was in April, and that was really out of character.
wow,
But with Minnesota weather, we get the snowstorm, and I think 3 weeks that happened on a weekend, and 3 weekends later, the high that Saturday, I think, was 72 degrees. And of course in May, the beautiful time of the year here in Minnesota, the weather just kept getting warmer. But I mean, we were in the 60s and 70s with huge snow piles out in like the parking lots at the grocery stores and Target, because they just they push everything to the back of the parking lots. But yeah, we had huge snow piles still in the middle of May.
yeah. That's, well, like
And
they say, be prepared.
we just celebrated a couple of weeks ago, the infamous Halloween blizzard of
Mm,
Minnesota. And there would have been
yeah,
1991.
mm,
In a 24-hour period, the airport measured 31 inches of snow.
yeah. Wow, wow.
That was a lot.
Look, be prepared. Get ready before. I just had my oil changed about a month or so ago. Have them check all the fluids. I had my brakes checked, tires checked. Um, I was good. I could probably use a tune-up. I'm going to hold that off for now. See, it's even foggy on my camera here. There we go. Come on, focus, focus,
You got
focus.
you got Vaseline he was putting on the squirrel pole
Yeah,
on his
right.
camera.
The vapors came in. Come on, Logitech, focus. There we go. Thank you. Um, yeah, I had my car check, oil changed, fluids check, brake check. Um, I thought I would need new brakes after 5 years, but they said, no, you have 60% on one side, 40%. And I'm like, wow, considering here with the hill. I told this one joke before. When I lived in Florida, I had a Ford Thunderbird that they don't make them anymore. One of the best American cars I ever drove. I brought it in for a safety check. Sitting there in the lounge, guy comes out. Is that your car? Yes. Well, the manager wants to talk to you. I'm like, oh, here we go. He brings me into the service bay. He had the car in the lift. Is this your car? Are these original brakes? Yeah. Well, he said, I'm looking at your brakes, and they're in good shape. He says, what do you use to stop, a parachute? I said, no. In Florida, because the roads are flat, and I went, when I drove to college, I memorized the lights. So instead of, driving up to red light, stop. I would coast to the red light. It would turn green. I would go, and my brakes lasted long. Here it's tough because of the hills, but I'll never forget that. Yes, I used a parachute to stop my car. Emily says you actually just got your car recently, just first new car. Okay, pretty neat technology. It does that auto emergency braking thing. Yeah, it's there's a word for it. I don't
Adaptive
know.
braking.
Adaptive brake. I don't know. It's in the
Yeah.
book, I'm sure. But you said you bought a Hyundai. Hyundai's ain't good. They've come along. That Hyundai Genesis.
They are supposed to be really, really,
Yeah.
really good. I've
One of
read
my
some reviews
friends.
on them.
Yeah. One of my friends in Florida, she bought an SUV in Florida. Sounds funny, SUV towards like Christmas time. It was an end of year thing, and she bought like a $30,000 vehicle for like 20 something. Great. Maybe it was a Kia. I think it's the same company. But a
Don't
small SUV, Hyundai Santa Fe or something like that for about 20 something brand new.
don't
But yeah,
Kias and Hyundai have that? I mean, this have a spectacular warranty on them.
yeah, I've
You know,
seen commercials. Yeah,
100,000 miles or something.
they've come a
So
long way. That's right. Clive says you rarely use the brakes. Well, that's why you're scaring the crap out of everybody. Stop it. Yeah, Johan, I mentioned that. Have the battery checked and the battery cables. Yep, the rubber window rubbers. Yep, silicone oil, and you can use Pam's, not the girl, but the spray Pam to keep it greased.
my grandfather used to just use vegetable oil. He would just take a paper towel, pour vegetable oil on it, and go out and grease the rubber around the doors, and then he would Vaseline up the he
That'll
would clean
work.
he would clean the terminal ends on the
Yeah, yeah.
battery really good,
hmm
and Vaseline them to keep the corrosion off of them.
That's true. Thanks, Clive. I think I just got demonetized. I'm not going to repeat it. See what he said.
Oh,
That's one for that. That's a good one, though. Okay, I'll give you that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think I've driven a stick shift once. I prefer. I spent the money on the car. I prefer have the car do all the work. But that's just me. Um, when snow, you pull up in second gear. I'm not I don't too much the technology behind manual transmissions. I prefer automatics. But that's just my opinion. Less chance of making a mistake. Less chance of grinding the gear or whatever if you make a mistake shifting. So I've had friends do that driving. Oh, wrong gear. Anyway.
I remember one of the first winters I drove, and I had a manual transmission. And one of the things that you seem to forget is, gearing down to slow down.
hmm
Well, when you get on the snow and ice, if you do that, there's a completely different outcome. That you're in third, and you go to pop it into second to slow
Yeah.
down, coming up to a stop.
Yeah.
There's too much snow and ice before
I
you
know.
know it. The back end of the car is all over the place.
Clive, you're European. Okay. Come on, camera. What is it with Logitech today? Jeez. Okay. Anyway, Kyrie, you're in Tampa. hmm
Okay, so those are erasers, and
Oh. Okay.
Clive, that word has a different use here in the Americas.
hmm Yeah. I mean, it's all good. I mean,
Yep.
it was funny for us, funny in a good way. It's all good. I'm joking about the other. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I used to live in Florida, so I know. Hello, Chris. Chris in France, I believe. It's the evening. Yeah, 6 hours ahead. Okay, welcome. Yeah, probably gonna wrap this up here soon. Up in Menu Drive, Nissan. Nissan's gonna have a few friends who drive Nissan. They're good. hmm Um. hmm Any other tips that we missed? Besides, my number one tip is moving down to Florida. and forget about the rest, right? Um, since I'm out of my warm tea, green tea is good. Capoches in the Netherlands. Johan from the Netherlands, yes. Okay. Yeah.
How do we manage to do this?
Like I said, this show's gone downhill this past month. I'm just kidding. All right, Yugi. Slow down. Yeah, number one tip. Why does my camera keep fogging up here? Jeez. There we go.
Yugi Master 88 had made a mention here earlier in the chat. He's going to be doing a live stream next week, so if you guys feel inclined, by all means,
Yeah.
give it a look, give him some support.
I got a quick question. Yes, go check out Yu-Gi-Oh! Definitely. A quick question for Emily in Georgia. What's the percentage? It's probably a loaded question. What's the percentage of stupid drivers in Georgia from what you've seen, Emily? 10%, 90%. I'm just kind of curious.
I can answer that from Minnesota. It's pretty low here in Minnesota, and when the first snow hits, everybody has to reacclimate. That probably happens places other than here. But during the wintertime, there is always one person out of 20 or 25 in the winter, snow and ice on the ground, and they're generally in a big jacked up four-wheel drive truck that are just, they aren't safe. And this is my opinion, of course. They aren't safe. They are not driving reasonably. They are not driving decently. And they're jerks.
Yeah.
They're complete jerks on the road.
I have friends who live in Atlanta. They don't really say too much about idiot drivers. Yeah, you have a first aid kit. Is your donate matching still in operate? Yes.
It is.
That's thanks to Tim. If you want to remind people here, thank you, Clive. Yeah, it's still that's going on through January, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just as a reminder to everybody that's watching Toss's stream, between now and the end of the year, every dollar that Toss takes in on Super Chat here on YouTube, Patreon, Clive, you just gave £2. Whatever the U.S. equivalent is, I'm going to match it because I think that's how Toss gets paid. Anything he takes in on Super Chats, like Clive this did, his Patreon account, his PayPal account. I don't know if I'm missing something there.
Thank you, Stephen, Clive. Thank you.
Yep. And also, Toss sells a line of merchandise with Total OS today on it. He's got T-shirts, Teespring.
I just have a couple shirts. I have to add to that, by the way. But yeah.
Any profit Toss takes in from that. When we get to January 2nd, he and I are going to sit down. He's going to reconcile his books and whatever he's got for income off of that. I'm going to match it 100% wholly.
So thank you to all of you. Yeah. That'll be what we do really now through January. That's going to base my decision on what to do here in January with this with the live streams. It's I love doing these. These are the most fun I've had in a long time, but ironically, these are the least profitable for this channel. And that's not that crazy because this really started off as a technology channel. How to install this. And those are the most profitable videos for the channel. That's completely understandable. Now, the channel is somewhat shifted to a live stream channel, but all the people who subscribe because of the how-to and tutorials may not care for live streams. But so yeah, check out the links below in the show notes. So if you would like to help out the live streams. Emily says 20% on average. Okay. Biggest thing here, people here drive aggressively. Okay, that seems to be the number one problem. Very aggressively. They will cut you off like crazy. Yeah. Yeah, Paul, buy a T-shirt. I just have 2 shirts listed. I got an invitation from YouTube because of my good standing on a channel. I was able to link the Teespring account to YouTube, so that makes it a lot more user friendly. Yeah, I have a short sleeve shirt and a long sleeve shirt on, but I need to add to that.
You know, we could hit one Linux thing today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if you guys can guess what distro I'm using. Okay. Now let me see, and I will do this very quickly so we do not go crazy on time here.
Is it that one where you need to take it out of the box or still in the box? Remember, you're gonna take him out of the box and send. Okay, all right.
It is not.
Okay, got it. Okay. Kyrie says, "How about a live tutorial?" I could probably do that. Yeah.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Can anybody guess what that was? Ubuntu Unity? That would be a good guess. I don't think that's it.
Ricky said Ubuntu Unity. Nope, that's not it.
Budgie? Okay.
Nope, it is not.
Lubuntu? I don't think so.
Nope. Horace, you are somewhat close.
Mm-hmm.
The wallpaper is from Ubuntu Budgie.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you this. It is Ubuntu based. See if I can give some hints here. I'll give you one more look at it real quick here.
Yeah, the wallpaper. Kubuntu.
Nope. It is not KDE based.
Okay. Yeah, we have power lines above the ground, which is like a spider web. It's archaic. They should be underground. Emily, do you use Linux? I don't know if I asked you before. I can't remember. If you don't, that's okay. I use Windows, Linux, and I have one iPad mini. Ubuntu GNOME 3. You might be getting closer.
Well, tell you what, I'll let the cat out of the bag here.
Okay.
I'll screen share one more time for just a couple of seconds. There we are.
I thought you were having problems with that last week.
You know, I was having problems with it, but I actually was able to kind of halfway to a degree figure out what the problem was.
Okay.
When Ubuntu 18.04 came out, the kernel underneath of that was 4.15, and then a variant dot like 37, 38, or 39. And when Ubuntu 18.10 came out, when I was having problems with that, when I was playing with that distro, the problems got worse. So what I did was I thought, you know, I like Elementary on my Linux machine. I just like Elementary. It works for me. I like the layout of it. I just like the way it looks. So I downloaded Elementary, and I purposely am not letting any kernel updates come through. So if I stick with a 4.15 I can't remember what I'm running. I think a .37 or 38 kernel. I don't have any of the issues that I was having before. And, you know, lo and behold, this past weekend, I was on a stream with DistroTube, and Derek has a lot of the real tech guys on his streams, the guys that really dig into compatibility, what the kernel does, this and that. They're way beyond me with the technical side of life. And I asked, hey, does a kernel make a difference? Could it be causing these issues I'm having? And people were saying, no, couldn't be this, couldn't be this. But then somebody mentioned, JavaScript is updated along with the kernel. There are pieces in the kernel that communicate or work with JavaScript. So I thought, you know what? I've got some extra time. I was kind of laid up for a day earlier in the week. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to screw around with just a distro and this freeze the kernel at a certain point. And it seems to be running just beautifully.
Check out Emily's question.
Does not having a minimize button bother you? Do I not have a minimize button?
Usually with that kind, you need to right click to get to the, yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember how I've got this set up. Let me look real quick. I actually have elementary tweaks installed, and I have the elementary comes out of the box with the close button on the left side of the window and no other buttons. I actually use elementary tweaks, and I do a window layout for. Did I screen share, Toss?
Yeah.
Okay. Elementary tweaks. You can go into tweaks under appearance. There's a layout right here. I can go in and I can do elementary. Now that's bone stock elementary. You see, there's.
I mean, if you want to share it again, yeah, but you shared it twice before. If you want to do it again, yeah.
Let me. Here, I'll run back over here. Let's do this. I'll make it really quick. Okay, as I was saying, you can install a utility called Elementary Tweaks. It pops it down into your system settings in Elementary. It's right here. You can go into Tweaks. And the nice thing about Tweaks is to me, I kind of get used to wherever the window buttons are. But I do like having a minimize button. Elementary right now, as you can see, is what it's laid out at. So I only have a close button over here. I can go into layout, and they offer windows, minimize right, minimize right, Ubuntu, different ones. But I set it to to Windows. And what that does is it gives me the full 3 Windows buttons on the right side, which is kind of what I'm used to. It's what most people would be used to. And that it's a neat little tool that you can install into Elementary that this kind of gives you a little bit more optionability, so to say. Elementary is kind of a little bit locked down of a distro, but there are a couple of things you can do to kind of get it where you want it. And for me, it just works. Again, we've always said on this channel, use the Linux distribution that works for you.
You have to.
And Toss is a huge proponent of saying is the best operating system is you.
You know, one of the reasons why I keep Windows 10 as a backup is with Windows you have antivirus shields, anti-spyware shields. With Linux, there's no such thing as an anti-bug shield. You know, there's tons and tons of Linux distros, package managers, and this and that, and sooner or later, like Tim, you're having trouble getting online, something's not going to work, something that you would not have that kind of an issue in Windows usually. But Linux has gotten better, much better.
Yep.
But again, the fragmentation can cause problems. So,
for folks who may want to use, Elementary and install Elementary Tweaks, I just put a link into the chat. Now, when you visit that link, it is going to have instructions for Elementary Freya and Loki. The newest release is Elementary Juno. What you want to do is you want to follow the instructions for Elementary Loki, and that will give you what it is you are looking for.
I prefer plain Ubuntu, or get this out of here. There we go. I prefer the Mate desktop Ubuntu Mate for its simplicity. Yeah, simple drop-down menu, right-click, I can add little applets, shortcuts like this weather app here. I can add a second panel, which I don't, but there's something about a simple desktop. And sometimes I'll have the Cairo dock here at the bottom or on the side. But there's something about just a simple, plain Jane working desktop that, you know what, it's hard to beat simple. Yeah, it's just hard to beat. So that's what I use.
Well, Toss, I'm going to turn into a pumpkin here. I actually have a conference call that I have to do.
Okay.
Here
Sounds
in
good.
about 5 minutes, so I need to get ready for that.
Right. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm ready to go too. Yeah, gonna have my lunch.
All of you folks, thanks for showing up on this great Thursday morning. Here where I'm at, it is sunny and it is now 33 degrees. And thanks for tuning in to Toss. Remember, the donation match is going through the end of the year. Give what you can. We're not Toss nor am I trying to put any pressure on any of you folks. Give what you can if you feel comfortable doing so. Every little bit helps. Not just only with Toss, but some of the other YouTubers that join in on Toss's live stream from time to time. And there's a few of them out there that Toss and I really have a lot of respect for. We really have a lot of kudos for them and what it is they do. But please, by all means, make sure you hit that like button. Share this video. Share it out to the world. Get the word out there for our friend in Ohio that puts socks on his wiper blades. Toss, as always, it is a pleasure to see you, and I'll keep my eyes and ears open and look for the next one. Yeah. My availability, no problem today after about 5 o'clock Central Time. Tomorrow I've got some stuff going on in the morning. I have a checkup in the afternoon. Friday night we can go ahead and do our usual thing.
Okay, so yeah, looks like I should be on tomorrow night. How to succeed and fail on YouTube. So looks like that should be good for it. But I'll let you know. Thank you everybody here in the chat. I'll catch you guys and girls next time. Thank you.
Take care, folks.